Authentic Life again, and my friend Steven Devadanam.
Thank you.
That.
Yeah.
Danae Cremosta.
Yeah.
So difficult. Cangelosi, all of it. But you are not Steve. Your Instagram says, I hate Steve.
Yeah.
Like, we have to start with that.
Okay.
You are so renowned. You're this incredibly respected editor of CultureMap. You know everyone in the city. You have your pulse on the city. And you choose for your Instagram, I hate Steve. And you're not a hater.
No.
Like, when you talk to you like everything, find the good side in everything.
Right.
But tell us.
So I'm a big sports fan. Thank you. First of all, it's a pleasure and honor to be here. I now have bragging rights. I've been on. Now I'm on the show, so I can be like,
yeah, I'm authentic.
You are.
I'm raw.
And you are authentic and raw. Yeah. And I want to make sure I'm not too authentic, but
not the case.
No, thank you, because I think that you and I bonded because we are of like minds. We are authentic. We're upbeat. There's a lot of stuff happening in life. There's a lot of stuff happening today for me. But
dude,
I try to be.
He said the universe wanted to prevent him from being here. I mean, this is part of living the authentic life, commitment.
Yeah.
Like honoring what you say, finding a way to show up, and sometimes it's just showing up.
And you are so stylish, so you'll appreciate this. My Persol glasses shattered, so these are 10-year-old Ray-Bans. So I think you're over here. But thank God
you were stylish 10 years ago, dude. What if Rob had to go back 10 years? It might not have been so good for him.
Exactly.
Sorry, we throw Rob under the bus a lot.
I like that.
He never listens to the podcast, so he never knows.
No, this is great. I'm a big fan of like Fall Guys. I'm a lot of people's
Fall Guy for everything.
I'm a lot of people's Fall Guys. Yeah, no. I'm not a hater by any means, unless I hate something and then I keep it to myself. But and then I really hate it, and then I go off
because it's passion.
And everyone's like, "You're at a 300, bring it back down to a 7." And but so I'm a big sports fan. I'm from Toronto, Canada. So grew up loving hockey and Wayne Gretzky. So when I had a chance to meet my hockey idol, I didn't know what to tell him to sign the hat with, so I said, and he's the nicest guy, right? So I said, just write, I hate Steve. And he's like, but I don't hate Steve. And I was like, that's what makes it funny, Wayne. He was like, all right, I hate Steve. And that just became, and I was so new to IG that I was like, I think you and I are similar in this too. I don't take myself seriously. I don't tag myself CultureMap Steve or whatever. I mean, jobs can come and go. So I just thought it was funny. And then people are like, and it's really interesting. It's a weird filter. So some people think, oh, that's really funny, or that's interesting. And some people are like, okay. And I'm like,
you're
no.
weird.
Yeah.
The
and I'm
judgment comes.
Yes.
And
And so I'm like,
okay, so automatically, I know we're not going to connect in the way if you don't think I hate Steve is cool.
Yeah.
Or at least ask about it, right?
Yeah.
Well, you ask questions of everyone around you. So you started in sports, but yet you cover so many different things. So just today, you do TV,
restaurants,
you're TV, you're digital, you're used to be radio.
Yes, that's right.
I think that, because listen, that radio voice.
Oh, come on. Well, I have a face for radio, but
wah, wah, wah. We need that little thing.
Yeah, wah, 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 wah.
We don't have sound.
Thanks, I'll be here all week.
Sound, exactly. Okay.
Try the veal. Tip your waitresses. Yeah.
Okay, and you said you didn't mean to be a journalist.
No. I actually started off as an actor and an improv guy, and obviously with Indian parents, that wasn't going to.
They were like, you're not going into medicine?
Right, and my dad.
Stereotypical, but you said that's true.
Well, so it's, and I am so blessed to have the parents I do, and my dad is gone, but my dad was a power businessman. My mom is a superpower now retired executive at J.P. Morgan Chase.
What?
And she's called. She is far more worthy of this seat than I. We call her the tiny tyrant. There was a
love her already
at CultureMap Tastemaker.
Mom, come on in. Round 2. Mom's gonna be here.
1,100 people at CultureMap Tastemaker last year. When my mom showed up, there was literally a line of people who follow her on social waiting to meet her. And then people started tagging me and texting me. You'll appreciate this too.
Yeah.
I thought of this for you, talking about mom. So people start messaging me saying, I didn't know your mom had a Birkin. I didn't know your mom had a Birkin. Love that Birkin. So then I get insulted. I'm like, we're not Muslim. We're Methodist. And they're like, no, you idiot. It's a bag. And I'm like, oh. Well, yes. So I was like, Mom, what's a Birkin? She was like, why are you asking me that? That's gauche. Don't ask me that. She's like, why are you asking me about my purse? I'm like, because people are talking about it. She's like, well, so she's very stylish, very
didn't know your mom had a Birkin. That's a hashtag right there.
Oh, it's
yeah. Burka or Birkin. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be a good quiz.
No, it is a very fluid, not fluid thing. But okay, so we also figured out in talking, because both of us asked so many questions that I call it getting to meaningful conversation or going deep quick. So we're both Fort Bend County people.
Yes.
Grew up out in Sugar Land, Missouri City.
The pride of Fort Bend. I mean, you're a Dulles Viking.
Can we talk about the Dulles Dolls?
And I want to be a gentleman.
Drill team. I know. Gentleman. We want to tell stories about the dolls.
I may have dated a Dulles doll. And
we're very proud of our drill team days here. We have a lot of memories that are super fun.
Drill team.
Deer Park over here. So she's from good country.
I love locals because all the Newstonians coming in. That's great and everything.
Newstonian.
But there's nothing.
There's so many notes already from our podcast.
Well, sure. And I was going to say, we talk about this all the time. A lot of cities you go to, especially in the East Coast, and they'll say, where'd you go to college? In Houston, it's where'd you go to high school?
Yes.
Because they kind of profile you. They kind of go, okay, she's Northwest, she's Southwest, she's this and that. She's a Sugar Land person, she's a Katy person, he's a Memorial person. So I love talking about Fort Bend. I love talking about Sugar Land. I love, Mom lives in Lake Olympia, not far from where you went to school.
Yes.
I went to Clements, and I'm so old that I actually opened Kempner and played football.
Dude, whenever you say I'm so old, I'm older than you. So let's rephrase.
Well, a gentleman never asked.
I'm like a fine wine. I have so many great memories.
I am like a flat soda.
No, you're not, because you just got married.
I did.
And that kind of upped your ante, because your wife is so cute and so cool and so bubbly.
Well, speaking of podcasts, this was great. So a podcast reached out to me, a men's dating podcast, said, we follow you on social. And I was like, oh, here we go. And they're like, you seem to date a lot, and you're always out on the scene, and the people cover you. And I'm like, eek. And they said, would you talk about dating? And not long after, I meet this amazing woman, and she is, and Donae, you and I are very much about universe and spirituality.
Stuff coming, winks.
I got fed up of my life, and I said, I want to meet this, and this, and wouldn't you know, we meet.
Wow.
And I am divorced, and I swore that I was going to be a bachelor and just focus on work and family and never get married again and just do my thing. I met her, and I met her in August, and I bought the ring in October.
Wow.
And I hid it in plain sight in the kitchen because I knew she'd never find it. And she didn't. And she had a
Sounds like my kind of girl. I'm not known to cook much. You could put it in the oven. You could put it,
Well, and she does cook. She's an amazing cook. We've been together since August 2021. She's never made even a mediocre or okay dish. She is astounding.
Rob, thank God Rob doesn't listen to this again.
Well, one day I woke up and she was making homemade arepas, Colombian, with eggs, and she makes Gordon Ramsay's. I mean, she's ridiculous.
No. Wow.
So she had a work trip in New York, and I said, let me just come up and hang out with you. And I convinced her, okay, you're also an elegant lady. She's a very elegant lady. She slept for 1 hour. We got back to the hotel at 3 in the morning, 3:30. She slept for 1 hour, slept in her makeup with her, got up at 4:30, threw on a dress so that we could get to the Empire State Building to see the sunrise on the Empire State Building roof overlooking New York City. She loves New York City. I just convinced her that we were going to do it all in one day. Sunrise on the Empire State Building, and then also Broadway that night. Little did she know that I was ready to propose. And all these people were looking at me, and one of these, a teenager said, Mom, I think he's going to propose.
Oh, no!
And my photographer didn't show up.
Of course. Got another thing in the universe against you.
But this brilliant, kind German man had a DSLR, fancy camera. He shot the photos, and I proposed, and I'm just the luckiest man in the world. She is a fundraising rock star.
Oh, Grace Kelly's finally on set.
Grace Kelly.
She was taking a break, I guess.
I love your work.
Exactly.
She knows a dog person. She knows a dog person.
She's like, you started without me. Last week, she was all over Phoebe's lap. It was pretty funny.
Also, now I've got to deal with our dog, Banksy, who's going to know that I was with the dog.
And, the whole cheating thing is so big. I mean,
he's very possessive.
Danette's Apache and...
Apache?
Yeah, Larry. Every night are mad at her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so I say they should come. And then, of course, she's begging. Anyway, back to the story. So you guys got married quickly.
We got married January 14th, so I'm a newlywed. And I'm very lucky, and I'm blessed, and she is, talking about being authentic, I realized that I needed to get authentic with my life. You and I work in the same circles.
Yes.
And I always try not to be the job. I try to do the job. So my friends mess with me all the time. Like, our company owns ESPN Radio and
there we go.
SportsMap and Innovation Map and all that. And I say that because a lot of I get along with sports guys, and they're always messing with me. Okay, Mr. Tuxedo. Okay, Mr. Fashion. You're wearing blue suede shoes. You're in it, and they'll call me like metrosexual stuff. Even my CEO will make fun of my, But I'm a guy's guy. I mean, I played, football. I shut it down for the NFL draft and with my brother, and I'm a big sports guy, and I believe in like old school men. My dad was kind of Indian Don Draper, and I say that because I had to get authentic with my life. I looked at how much work I was doing. I was completely committed to the job, and I also got sober. I just quit drinking. So it's 2 years in January.
Congrats.
And thank you so much. And so being intentional, showing up, being authentic, when you know that I only met my wife when I made those changes.
Yes, because people keep thinking, I want to meet the right person. And I think for me, I wasn't ready to be the right person until I met him. And bless his heart, we're still a work in progress. And I don't know if it's easier to be young and grow old together, but I still think it's hard to be older and find someone that fits in your parameters because you become more certain about what's meaningful to you. So it is a lot of compromise, but I've often said I could make so much money if I could interview every man that bought a diamond from Rob and find out why he married who he married, because so many women are trying to find out how do you find the right one, and guys too for that matter.
Well, to your point, that's a very excellent point, Danae, because since we've gotten married, when we announced our engagement and since we've gotten married, first of all, what was amazing about Houston, I'm not trying to name drop, but this is what the world is really about. You and I navigate the worlds of society and fashion, hoity-toity stuff, and people celebrate that, but when we got engaged, I had people coming out of, I'm talking Astros players, rap stars, and I'm not saying that to drop names, I'm not naming their names. What I'm saying is, they follow, they congratulated me because they know that that's what's important about life. Secondly, being intentional and the man who proposes to the woman, Lauren is getting hit. My wife, my amazing wife's name is Lauren, and people are hitting her up on Instagram going, do you know anybody I could meet? Do you know, what's your secret? She's a saint. She is 32 and I am not. I make Gen X references all the time. I talk about Duran Duran and the Fame City and Van Halen and,
But that's like, we're so vintage now, it's cool again.
Well, right. Like when she wears Skechers, she wears Vans, ironically, I'm like, no, I skateboarded in those.
Was something literally
my stuff
in my closet.
My stuff wasn't retro when it was happening. It was like cutting edge. So she is almost 2 decades younger than me. Mm-hmm. So talking about growing old together, she's going to have to grow old while I am old.
Yes, exactly.
But it is so much about mindset and respect. And she makes me a better man every day. She has taught me how. I try to temper this, but I have a bit of a kind of a swag ego, and she makes sure to knock that down with her very, because she's not impressed by what I do. You and I have talked about this specifically. I was dating women who were kind of profiling me.
Right, and they're like, I want to go out with him. That's right. I want to be in that world. How do I get in that world?
That's it.
He's my ticket.
That's it.
Yeah.
She couldn't care less what I do.
Wow.
If it's got animals or great food or great art, she's in. If it's another gala.
She's like,
and by the way, she's the one everyone wants to see.
You're right. Now they want to take her picture.
She is a beautiful, stunning blonde woman with perfect skin. And she radiates charisma. And
I love the way you talk about her.
Oh, I just, I realized that when I was talking about her, I was like, I need to marry her because I'm gushing like I do about a ribeye. So, except she's, and that was, up until then, a ribeye and scotch was like the greatest thing going on for me. So, this is, or maybe a vintage Porsche, but so now it's become, since I don't have children that I know of, it's become, hello, Steve, Lauren, because she's always dressed so elegantly. She's
and charming. She has a smile on her face and a glow about her. So how was your mom? Was she the typical Asian mother that was like, you need to stay within the realm of the family and stick with someone closer to who we are as a race, or was it because I have a friend who's Indian whose family even gave him an arranged marriage and he got out of it and made choices to date someone.
Right.
And I remember when I got married the first time, I'm divorced, for me it wasn't race, but it was you're marrying a non-Catholic. And it was a big deal to my family. And it was, what I realized, it wasn't important that he was Catholic, but it was important that he could accept what was important to me.
There you go.
And not try to change it.
There you go.
Your mom seems like she's not a typical anything.
No.
Because she was working and doing things so different than what
my parents,
so many women were doing at that age.
Well, that's a lovely question, and thank you. I don't really enjoy talking about myself, but I love talking about Lauren. I love talking about the Tiny Tyrant, and I love talking about my dog, Banksy.
Okay, well,
who, by the way, you being a fashionista, he and I were in a fashion show last year. I wore him on a baby Bjorn. His outfit matched my herringbone bag.
Love it.
And again, I'm a sports guy. So, mom and dad are both pioneers in their own right. Their families were Christian in a non-Christian country.
Absolutely.
They both came from the same socioeconomic demographic. So they mixed in the same circles. The hilarious thing is that my dad was a very well-known, he would have definitely been like the top 5 bachelors in town kind of guy.
Okay.
And my grandfather, William Paul, my mom's dad, by the way, Lauren and my mom, Sona, both went from never spelling their last name, Lauren Smith and Sona Paul, to always spelling their last name, by the way.
Yeah.
So William Paul hung out at the Hyderabad Officers Club in India with his Austin Shoreline car and his meticulous, amazing double-breasted suits. And he always saw Joe Devadanam, the hotshot son of the well-respected government man, Joseph Sr., who was wheeling and dealing, slick back hair, suits, but always with a different lady. When he found out that my dad started talking to his younger daughter via a wrong number, he called the number. He liked her voice so much, he just kept talking to her. She liked his voice so much, they started talking.
There's this voice thing. It's heritage.
Well, that's it. And Lauren, oh, by the way, Lauren has a beautiful sing-songy voice.
Thank God her voice, family can carry on.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So I'm a sucker for great voices, just like my dad. They start seeing each other. Bill was like, I will kill Joe.
Yes.
Not my younger daughter. I know all about you. Joe had to deflate the whole thing. Wow. Bill had this silver-plated double-barrel shotgun. He was ready to use it on Joe. He didn't care whose son he was. And Dad had to say, sir, I know what my rep is, but I want to marry your daughter and I want to treat her right. And she is. And Bill was like, oh. They were two tall, strong, alpha, well-dressed Indian men at a time where being an old school man was really revered, but also in a time where being a Christian in India was not, well, it's still tough now. So my parents had that mutual respect. They both thought out of the box. They both didn't care about, we could talk about this all day. My mom has olive skin. People often think that she's either Persian or Italian. My dad is dark like me. So people were like, why is she
mixed race?
Why is she marrying someone so dark? Like that kind of thing. And, and then Dad's friends were like, she's so young, you're so with it, she's so naive and sheltered, what are you doing? And they'd make fun of her. And Dad was like, hey, that's my wife. And he knew, because he was a great speculator and he was a visionary. He knew exactly what she was going to be, more so than her parents.
Speculator and visionary.
And he knew that this sweet country girl, and when I say country, I mean they just grew up on a lot of land and very, they very
kind of like Scarlett O'Hara country.
Yes, he knew that she would be cosmopolitan and a power player. And she went from a part-time bank teller because he basically dared her to apply for a job at a bank, and she hates being dared, she always wants to win, to being the first senior vice president at JP Morgan Chase, Indian woman. She's been given awards. She's been given awards for promoting minorities, for promoting women. There were, when she was working, she retired recently, there was a legion of women at Chase who dressed like her and drove the same black BMW she did. She is beyond a mentor.
Because she was such a path blazer. Trailblazer, that they said, if that's what I'll do. Yeah. If that's what she's doing, it must be good.
That's it. And I want to emulate her in every way because she is refined, she's spiritual, godly, all about family, all about etiquette. She says things like, if you're raising your voice, you've already lost.
Wow.
But she'll also say things like, why did I walk? Why am I walking if I valeted? Like, she's hilarious. So she has quotable lines. And that's why everyone wants to meet her, because all my young friends are like, your mom is goals. Like, I want her to mentor me. And my dad was a strong, athletic alpha. So I guess you could almost say that my parents were more American. They were American in India. So when they went to Canada and when they went to Texas,
they had an American value system.
Yes, hard
of paving
work.
A way of doing things different than had been done before, but in a very classic, respectful of traditions.
Yes.
As far as the family unit, and all of these things really fall under blue zones of what let people live to become centenarians. It's these connections. It's connecting with family. It's connecting with community. It's finding something that makes you have purpose. It's finding something. There's another term that I think your mom has, which is called ikigai. Have you heard it before? It's a Japanese term.
That sounds Japanese.
And it's when you find what you love to do, what you're good at, how you can make a world a better place and be paid for it. You can do it nonstop. That's what you're doing. I feel like that's what I'm.
That's definitely what you're doing. Yeah. All
the time, because it sets your soul on fire, and it becomes where it's not work. It's. I remember when I started a podcast, I called someone I respected in business, and I said, what do you think? And he said, I don't understand the point. And I said, it's connecting with people. Even if I just connect with a new person a week and we learn about each other, I believe it'll make the world a better place. I believe it'll move both of us in a place that we can do something grander.
And I think more people need that now, and they need your voice, and they need positive sharing, connection. We live in a world that is more connected and yet more divided than it's ever been.
100%.
And now we need things that bring us together, and it just takes bravery to say, let's talk, where, we've become in a country, and this isn't being political, we've just stopped sharing ideas. We've stopped. I worked in politics, and I worked for the guy that won, who was a Democrat. But back in the day when I was working, we would go to lunch with the Republican and the Independent, who were also on the ticket. So we would blast them during the day as the media team, but we'd all hang out because we could all talk. That was a long time ago. That was years ago. And the president was served 2 terms. And it's a sad examination of our country now that people want to fist fight over things they don't agree with. So what you're doing, bringing people together, talking about things that we can all agree on, and I always say this, working in my industry, everyone has a story. You just have to ask.
Yes, and it's the storytelling. Like, you are a master storyteller, and you're a gatekeeper to stories. So talk a little bit about what your opportunity is at CultureMap that maybe they don't have at CNN or Fox News or whatever it is.
Well, I did work at CNN. I did work at NFL Network, New York Daily News, Modern Luxury, Houston Press back in the day when it was the edgy thing to do. Cut my teeth as an intern at Channel 2 under like Dominique Soxa and Linda Laurel and those folks. And I'm very blessed to work every week with Channel 13 with these power players. And so I have learned that no matter what the voice of the publication or the outlet is, always tell a good story. Ask good questions. I make it a point when I tell people all the time when I do story, I'm like, I'm not going to interview you. And they said, well, what is this? I said, no, we're going to talk.
Yes.
We're just going to chat.
Yes.
And it is amazing. I can't tell you, and I'm not saying this to be boastful, it's just, this is really about what people need. I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed somebody, especially a celebrity or someone prominent, and we start talking, and they start talking, and either they or their assistant will call back and go, can we cut this, because they start thinking about it, and they're like, but
I didn't mean to share that much.
That's it.
Because you feel like
liberated.
You have a safe place to share. Yeah. And I think that's what so many people want.
That's it. And we try to tell good stories. You know, a culture map, it's arts, it's society, it's fashion, it's definitely restaurants. Eric Sandler, best food writer in the city. I don't mind saying that. And people read him because he's breaking news, and and we just try to be guidey. We try to be the place that everyone can go to escape from everything else. Where am I going to eat tonight? Where am I going to go? What art show should I go to? What should I wear? Who do I catch during the rodeo? And then we try to mix in some good celebrity interviews or prominent interviews. Do
you have an interview that you were actually nervous about doing because you felt like they were so...
I never get starstruck.
Okay.
Because you've got to be a professional.
Yes.
So having worked for a president, having worked at the bigs at NFL Network with literally Hall of Famers, writing for the flagship show, where not only was our show live everywhere in the country, but also at every stadium, so 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 are watching. You cannot get starstruck or intimidated. But what I find that where I get sidelined is if I care about the story or really believe in the person, I have this passionate story to do my best for them. So case in point, I've had the privilege of covering Lance McCullers Jr. at the Astros pitcher, since his early days. Well, he and I sat down for an hour at his home, and he gave me just pure gold. When I came back for that interview, first of all, an hour of notes. And
you're like, how do I cut this out?
Well, it's not even that. It's he is a great baseball player and a champion. He's actually a better person. This is a guy who runs his foundation for animals and won't let his executive director, when he comes in from Tampa of the foundation, get a hotel. He makes him sleep on his sofa because he doesn't want any money going to anything other than that. I don't know if he still does it because I've talked about it too much. He'd go to the grocery store and get 2 cases of water and not go home till he gave them away to someone in need. Now, this is a man who cares so much about his city that he's almost this guerrilla giver. Guerrilla, guerrilla, like underground. So that was like, man, I've got to make sure I don't screw this up because I got the privilege of sitting down and having him open up and realize this guy is a better human. This guy may be a great baseball player and everyone knows him. But that's
not the story.
He's LMJ and he's great on Twitter and he's got blasts and he says, bury me in the H. But what about when he talks about his family and his origin family and his little girl and that? I mean, that's the kind of stuff where you're like, man, I just got to get it done. But there is, when you meet amazing people, you do want to tell their story well and you want to do them justice because you get that limited time with them and you don't want to screw it up. So you don't get intimidated by them, but you do take on this sense of like, I've really got to tell a good story. I owe it to them. They gave me an hour, they did this, they did that. And by the way, everyone reads what, they were like, people are like, oh, I don't read that. I'm like, no, they read it. And so you want to make sure that they feel like that was time well spent and that if they shared something with you and gave you a piece of themselves, that you did a good job of, turning that around in a way that is accurate and authentic.
Absolutely. Okay, so sadly today we don't have a lot more time.
That's good
Which means we get to come back and maybe we can have the Tiny Tyrant or Lauren, or we could even do all three of us. 4. No, that would be 4. Obviously, I'm not as good at math as my daughter, Bella.
Neither am I. I'm the Indian guy who's bad at math. So
okay, so
there's always one.
I think we have time for 1 or 2 more stories. Like, if there's a story, like, what is your favorite? Is there a story that you love to tell over and over?
Yeah.
Is there a story you want to share with people right now that's on your heart?
Oh, is it about CultureMap? About me? About you and I?
You tell me.
Well,
I don't know. We hardly even covered everything. We talked about family. Yeah. We talked about your job. You've met amazing people and interviewed.
Very blessed.
You give so much back to the community. You're constantly like covering what people are doing to raise funds. But is there something on your heart that you're raising money for now? Is there something you're passionate about coming up, looking forward to in the spring or the summer?
Thank you. I'm talking about being responsible. Bun B, the rap icon, hip hop icon here in town, he's doing another show at the rodeo. And I want to make sure that when we do a story on him, that I'm giving people the perspective on who this man is, what an amazing, this is a man who was the first black male headliner from Houston to ever headline a show at the rodeo. He could have made it all about himself and made it Bun B's greatest hits, taken his money and posted on Instagram and sat back in some hotel that they put him up in and lived that rock star life that everybody, that celebrity life. However, when he was given the opportunity to headline the rodeo last year, he called it an H-Town takeover. And he called all of his friends and he sat and thought authentically about all the people who never got their due or actually deserved that stage just as much as he did and made it all about Houston.
Oh my God, that makes me cry.
Right?
So generous. I know, I will be there. That is the one rodeo performance I'm going to this year.
So now he's doing a Southern takeover to give a postcard to the world of what the South can be. So I want to make sure that who I am a bit honored to call a friend, and by the way, talking about authentic, he is so authentic. He is one of my marriage role models. His wife's name is Queenie. He serves and submits and loves and adores Queenie and respects her in a way that I'm like, I have no excuse. If Bun B, who has every excuse to be that guy, and chooses and elects every day. So after the H-Town takeover, he gave everyone the spotlight. He got in his pickup truck with his wife and he drove home. I mean, this is consummately Houston. See, this is
Houston.
That I have to this year. I have to tell the story about that. It's my job and my responsibility.
Yes.
My mom always tells me, "You're not successful until you're helping other people." You can be rich, you can be wealthy, but you're not successful until you're helping. So Bun B doesn't need my help. He's Bun B. But if I'm going to get time with him, my responsibility is to tell his story in a way that other people aren't, and say, this is a man who always puts others first, puts his city first, puts fellow musicians first, puts his family first, puts his wife first, And as celebrated as he is, he's always about giving back. So is Lance McCullers. So I just met the Kinders because I'm on the Memorial Park Advisory Board, and so we celebrated the land bridge opening. And the Kinders didn't want to talk about themselves. They wanted to talk about the park. I mean, this is the link. And I always say Houston's greatest natural resources are people. I mean, Austin may have the hills and the rivers and all that, and that's great, but there's also it's a cesspool of human waste over there now. But Houston's natural resource is people like yourself, like she, like the Bunbys, Lance McCullers, like the Kinders. I mean, it is a city full of them. Like, you don't have enough time. Right. We just did 14 Valentine's Day power couples, and it ranged from Alex and Reagan Bregman. And we interviewed them, and we said, you know, we asked fun questions like, what drives you crazy about them? What was your first impression?
Like, oh, you're married to him. She's like, no, really. Yeah. He annoys me too.
Well, we talked to, when you, Kent Schaefer, power attorney, name a celebrity, he's represented him. We know who Alex and Reagan Bregman is. Right. Bun B and Queenie were in it. Aaron Blue Dorn and Victoria. Yeah. So why am I mentioning? I'm not trying to drop names. All of a sudden they weren't celebrity couples, they were just couples going, I hate it when she doesn't use Apple Maps to get us around. I hate it when he puts my feet, or Derek Shore at Houston Life and his partner and his husband Brandon's like, oh my God, he flosses so much, his teeth are amazing. So annoying. That's amazing. And I'm like, people were texting me going, you and Lauren should be on this. I'm like, no,
I don't want to know what she's irritated
because
by.
Lauren's whole story would be like, what drives her crazy about me? Because I'm very driving crazy. Yeah, I drive people crazy. So all that to say,
that's a song too.
Yeah, exactly. You drive me crazy. See, Gen Xing.
Exactly, we are.
Yeah, but rodeo, the power couples. I'll be seeing you obviously in all the fashion, the society and fashion stuff, and rodeo's coming. But I'm just.
Do you want to make an announcement about something you're doing in May 12th?
May 12th.
Dancing.
Oh my goodness.
Are you announcing?
Why don't you announce, because I'm still a little bashful.
Not sure. Okay.
No, I'm doing it, but I'm a little embarrassed, so.
Okay. Well, I think we just have to reconnect to let people know what that would be.
Okay.
All right. We'll just leave them hanging.
That's
a teaser!
In our industry, we call that a teaser. When we come back, Dawn has breaking news.
We have breaking news right here. Oh my God. I freaking love you. I would have said another word, but it's Lent and I gave up cussing. But look, here's Rob. He's already jealous. He can tell how much I love you. He's listening to us. All right. Hugs and love, babe.
Hugs and love. I adore you. Thank you. It's a blessing. Thank you.
Guys, we got to do this again next week. Maybe not this, but in the next few weeks.
Yes.